Right, folks, time for a pre-episode game. No cheating, oh no. But according to the valuations that the game gives you, we have our first player who is valued at over £1 million that we actually own. Skelton is as well, but he's only here on loan. So we have one player worth more than £1 million. The game is, let me know down in the comments who that man is. And if you get it right, you get 5 Kev points. Hello and welcome to part 93 of Back in the Borough. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're at home against Swansea and then away against Norwich, both in the Championship. Since you were last with me, we've had, it looks like bad form. 2 wins in 6, we lost the other 4. But to me, that's 6 points from 6 games. That's the Kev ratio. That, to me, is a perfectly acceptable run of form for a team trying to battle bravely against relegation from the Championship. And we currently find ourselves in 18th place. In 18th place after 18 games. That would do. 21 points. So we're 3 points ahead of the Kev ratio. More importantly, arguably, 7 points clear of the relegation zone, which is massive. We're not even at the halfway point of the season yet, and we're 7 points clear of the relegation zone. We're aiming for that 50-point mark, which is the other cliche, which apparently is more well known than the Kev ratio. And we're on course to be halfway towards it by halfway through the season, which would be huge. The player, by the way, is Dan Fisher. If you put Dan Fisher, you get 5 Kev points. Valued at £1.4 million apparently, and it's because he has arrived in the Championship. 9 goals in 13 games so far this season, 6 assists. After a bit of an off season last year where he only got 14 goals and only averaged a 7.05, we're starting to see the Dan Fisher again that we had in the 3 seasons previously when he was top scorer every year. Just absolutely playing out of his skin all the time. It's the best form he's been in since that season when he got 34 goals and 22 assists when we got promoted from League 2. Imagine if he puts that kind of form together in the Championship. This lad will be playing for England by the end of the season if he puts in that kind of form. So Dan Fisher, our first player valued at over £1 million. He's even worth more than Skelton apparently. Skelton's 1.3 million. And I'm very proud to see Dan Fisher valued at 1.4 million. But I'm also thinking, based on our financial situation, if someone wants to come and give us £3 million for him in January, you can have Dan Fisher for £3 million. That's going to be my new asking price for him. So this is the team we're putting out there for the Swansea game. I am very much in a kind of don't really know who my best team is kind of place. Because we're so inconsistent, it's quite hard to come up with a settled team because we lose so much. And when we lose, I make tweaks and then I'm not sure which tweaks work and which don't. So there's quite a few players who've been getting game time. Players you'd normally expect to play who've been dropping out of the team. We've got Parker in goal at the moment, but we've had Mitchell in goal for quite a few of these games as well. We're kind of rotating between the two. Poor old Robbie Nadat just sat there minding his own business down on the bench. His time will come again, worry not. James Ball's had quite an extended run not in the team just because we've been playing Richardson. We've also been playing James Key. James Key has 2 goals from 4 games and looks really good when he plays well. When he's not playing well, he doesn't look so good. So I don't know that's true of most footballers, but it seems exaggerated with Key. Lee Weaver also struggling a little bit. He had a solid start to the season, but he's been stuck on 8 goals for a little while now. And German and Fisher seem to be playing really quite well together at the moment. They've got closing in on 20 goals between them for the season now, and Weaver sort of weighs in when needed. I think we're doing okay. So this is the team anyway. We've got Parker in goal. A back 4 of Anderson, Hughes, Flores and Ibrahim. Sawyer is injured. He's going to be out for a month or so with an injury that he picked up. Well, he's back in a week now, so he's already missed a few games. A midfield of Fletcher, Longden and Skelton with Richardson in behind Fisher and German. So let's get into the game. I forget who we're playing now. I just know we're at home. We've generally been doing okay in our home games and appallingly bad away from home. So we're at home against Swansea. I'd like to think it's because most teams come to Liberty Way and don't understand what's happening. They feel like they've either gone back in time or dropped down through the leagues, playing in front of 6,000 people with no roof on half the ground. They don't really understand what's going on. And I think that plays to our advantage, whereas we went away to Villa was it the last game or the game before? We went ahead in the game. We were doing all right. And then I think it dawned on us that we were playing in front of 40,000 people in a massive ground. And we just threw it away in the second half. It all got a bit too much for us, I think. But here's Anderson. Didn't cross, but we're still knocking the ball around nicely. It finds its way to German. Richardson's in. And we could have hoped for a little bit better from Richardson there. And one thing I think we are missing this season, and it might be time to get James Ball back in the team to try and get this back, is consistent goals from the attacking midfield position. I know Key's shown little sparks of that when he's been in the team, and Richardson was a real goal threat for us last year, but Ball hasn't been scoring as regularly as he normally would. And although the strikers are still scoring consistently, we are missing out on those goals from midfield that used to weigh in a significant chunk of goals for us in previous seasons. And when our defence is as porous as ours is, where we can't even decide who our best goalkeeper is, I don't really know who my best right back is. I've only really got 2 centre-backs and they've rarely both been fit. And I don't know who the best reserve to go alongside him is. So defensively, we are pretty poor. If we could get more goals out of midfield, then I think that wouldn't matter so much. Fletcher, I mean, that's a poor ball back. Was it Fisher towards Fletcher? It was a poor ball back, and we've done well to recover from it. Longden dropping very deep to find Fletcher, and it's Anderson in a crossing position. That is a beautiful pass from Joe Anderson on his weak foot. It was deliciously in between the back four and their keeper, and Ricky German is this close to putting us 1-0 up, because that was a beauty of a cross. Right. I'm happy as things are at the moment. Where are Swansea in the league? Swansea are... They're just above us in mid-table. So, I mean, a draw wouldn't be a disaster, although we are going to lose the away game because we lose all our away games. So, in order to keep us with a little bit of a cushion on the Kev ratio, it would be nice to pick up a win in this game, which, of course, is why we've just gone 1-0 down. I don't know, we've had some lovely performances when you lot haven't been watching, but you lot turn up. Curse of the camera's back, everybody. And... yeah, we've got plenty of time to turn this around. We concede at least 1 goal every game. We also score a couple most games as well. So I'm sure the gentlemen up front, Fisher and German, are going to get a goal each, yeah? Right, we start again with Flores to Ibrahim. Big ball over the top towards Fisher, who isn't really alive to it. And he's not really the man to be hitting big lumping balls towards, although I guess he is playing as a target man these days, but that was more of a ball over the top for him to chase, and he's not equipped for chasing these days. German is my chaser, plays it back to Skelton, to Fletcher, Richardson, it's through to Ricky German, and German misses. Ricky German's had 2 big chances now. That first one from the Joe Anderson cross, you can kind of forgive him for missing, but that one there is a big, big chance that he's missed. And Lee Weaver's sat there on the bench, just glancing over at me every now and again. So, still sitting on the bench, am I, boss? Don't worry, Lee, you're coming on any time now because we need some of your magic. So we're going to bring on Ball, we're going to bring on Weaver, and hopefully between the 2 of them they can conjure up a goal, or preferably 2, because I would like to win this game, as previously stated. But it doesn't look like we're... Here you go, here's an opportunity to try and create something, but no, it goes straight back into the hands of Swansea, and they're through again, and we're throwing slide tackles around in the penalty area, which is probably not the best way to defend, but we kind of get away with it, and now Flores has picked up an injury. We do have Jake Laskowski on the bench. It's not ideal for our last substitution, having to swap our centre-backs over, but needs must. We can't be playing with an injured defender. Now we just need to go and grab an equaliser. We'll settle for an equaliser at this point. Anybody? I'm going to swap Fisher and Weaver over. Play them the way they always used to play together. So Weaver can be the target man for 5 minutes while Fisher plays as the advance forward. Now Skelton's picked up an injury. That could be disastrous because without Skelton, we are not going to be close to a good team. Right, Skelton with the free kick. Last kick of the game, really. It comes to Ibrahim, who tries to beat his man, fails, and that is that at this point, I think. Although Swansea are on the attack. If they score a second one, I'll feel a little bit hard done by. Laskowski heads clear, though, but not clear enough. And Swansea are still on the attack. This is not how the last seconds of this game were supposed to pan out. But we've lost anyway. And that, I mean, I wouldn't say it puts pressure on us going into Norwich, because Norwich are they're right up there fighting for automatic promotion this season. So Norwich away is a game we were supposed to lose anyway. But if we do lose it, that then becomes 6 defeats in 8 games, which isn't great form. Although we'll still be okay Kev ratio wise. We do need to, it would be nice to get back-to-back wins at some point again this season. Couple of changes for the Norwich game. Then Mitchell comes back in goal. Key comes in for Richardson in behind the front 2. Let's get into the game. Ryan Giggs is Norwich manager apparently, and they've got a striker, Mario Pierre, who's worth £20 million. I don't want to click on him because that guarantees that he's going to score against us. I also don't like the fact they're playing a 3 up front, although we basically have a front 3 as well. So hopefully against their back 3 we can batter them, and that would be marvellous. Although Norwich are up there pushing for a top of the table spot, whereas we're Nuneaton. So I don't necessarily rate our chances in this game. This is one of those where we can sit back and just enjoy watching some world-class players who've clearly recently been in the Premier League. And if we get the opportunity to score a goal against them, we can all have a little giggle, because that just shouldn't be happening with our bunch of non-league players taking on a team that were playing in the Premier League last season. This is going to be a proper golfing class. And there's Mr. £20 million Brazilian international who forces a save out of Mitchell. We should have had Robbie Nadat in goal against a Brazilian international. I mean, how could that go wrong? Right, Ibrahim lumps it forward. Not very effectively. And we've managed to make it through the first 15 minutes, which is more than I expected we'd be able to do. Of all the teams in this division, Norwich are the one that potentially I fear the most, because they score more goals than we do. They are very good going forward, and we're very bad at the back, and they're 1-0 up. And this could get properly messy today. But don't worry, I am still doing my control system with my normal fairly high defensive line, and no thoughts of countering their attacking. I'm just going to try and play our game and attack right back at them, because I think our front 3 against any back 3 in the world on their day. I can't even finish that sentence. Ricky German and Dan Fisher are non-league strikers who've had a good luck and who've lucked into being at the right club. But Fisher's now injured. He's got a pulled groin. I think we probably need to get Dan Fisher off the pitch. Ibrahim in. Forward to German. Can we get a goal from Fisher before he leaves the game? We cannot. And we're just going to wait for this highlight to end. Fisher turns fairly quickly for a man with a pulled groin, and Skelton is in. Can he square it? He doesn't. He decides to take the shot, and that was a little bit greedy from Skelton. Fisher's not actually doing too bad. I might leave him on until half-time. Just because, again, we've only got the one striker on the bench in the shape of Weaver. I don't want to bring him on too early and tempt the game into picking up another injury. Although Richardson or Key could both go up front, or Skelton, in fact, can all go up front if needed. Fletcher in midfield to Longden. Fletcher again, forward to Fisher. Across to Ricky German, and Key is in and forces a good save out the Norwich keeper. I mean, it was straight at him, but still, he forced a save. It was a lovely bit of football to set up that chance. And we've actually had more clear-cut chances than Norwich have. We're being mugged at the moment, everybody. Skelton with a cracking free kick. And Andrew Skelton, just on the stroke of half-time, has just scored an absolutely cracking free kick against Norwich. Forget the fact it was straight at the wall and deflected. It was a good free kick. We're giving that to Skelton. We're absolutely giving it to Skelton. We're still being mugged. We're being mugged with a draw because we've had more clear-cut chances than them. But they have dominated us for half chances. So we would absolutely take a draw out of this game quite happily. Weaver's going to come on at half-time for Fisher. So Fisher can go and rest his poorly groin. Sat on the bench for me. And hopefully Lee Weaver can get back into some kind of goal scoring form, because he's been a little bit, like I say, a little bit off the boil. He started the season really well and hasn't really recaptured that kind of form. I think he picked up a little bit of a knock. There was a reason he fell out of the team, and I'm sure it must have been an injury. I wouldn't have dropped him the form he was in. But ever since that injury, he's really struggled to recapture the form that took him through most of the last 2 seasons as well. He's just been in form for ages, and this is his first iffy patch of his career. And that's some poor goalkeeping from Mitchell. And it's now 2-1. And we have a mountain to climb again. James Key is booked. Well, James Key's probably going to be coming off in a minute. We've got both Ball and Richardson sat on the bench. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw both of them at some point during this second half. Be a bit of a worry if I was surprised, really, as I'm the manager. And I'll decide when they come on. But any moment now, I'm going to pull the trigger and get Ball on for Key. But we're going to let this move happen first, then make that change. So Weaver, back to Anderson. Anderson into Longden. Forward to Weaver again, who's holding the ball up nicely. Finds Key behind Fletcher, but Fletcher recovers it to German and then Key. And that's all I needed to see from Key, really. He's he's not played well at all today, and we've got James Ball sat there on the bench, and it seems silly not to get him onto the pitch in the circumstances. And we build again, but Ibrahim hits it straight into the onrushing Norwich attacker, and we need to get a tackle in here because they're knocking the ball around us like we're not even there. And that's a £20 million Brazilian goal you've just seen there. I mean, there's no stopping that. They just decided to turn it on, decided we weren't going to have the ball again until they'd thumped it into the top corner. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, how do we defend against this? We are all over the place here. And what a finish. And Mitchell's just looking at that thinking, don't even want to get in the way of that, because if that hits me, it's going to hurt. So I'm just going to let it thunder into the top corner, and we're going to pick our battles. Away against Norwich isn't where we want to plant our flag. We'll bring Lang on for Ibrahim. We could change any of the defenders really. They all look like they want to just come off the pitch and rest. But Lang can come on at right back and get a little bit of experience playing against Mario Ferreira, who's on an 8.6 on the left wing for Norwich. And then there's the Piero guy who's playing as the left-sided attacker as well. So our poor old right back has two Premier League quality, fancy-named international players to just absolutely ruin him, and they are both having a field day. And I mean, look, we can't get anywhere near them. They are just doing what we expected them to spend the whole game doing, and they're just tearing us apart at the moment. I think against a team who are clearly much better than us to begin with, we perhaps shouldn't have done 4-3-1-2 against a 3-4-3, because our poor old fullbacks, I don't know how they've made it through the game, but I think 3-1, we've done very well to come away with 3-1 here. We haven't been battered anywhere near as badly as we could have been, bearing in mind the fact they've had 4 clear-cut chances, 9 half chances. This could have been double figures against us here. And thanks, Norwich, for not turning it on until into the second half and just being efficient rather than cruel. We're still ahead of the Kev ratio, and that's all that matters. Let's have a quick check-in on our league position before we disappear. So, we're ahead of the Kev ratio, but we're now only 3 points clear of the relegation zone, and we haven't won for a little while. I mean, we've got those 2 wins in amongst a sea of red. We need another run like that. 2 draws, 2 wins. If we could have that here, that would go down really rather nicely around about now. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.